Hello friends, my name's James, and this is my 1965 Albert 30 sloop SV Tritea. I have been slowly sailing around the world since leaving Los Angeles in 2021. Since that time, I've covered more than 17,000 nautical miles, from the Hawaiian Islands to French Polynesia, New Zealand to Australia, and more. I crossed the largest ocean on the planet solo. Join me as I continue my way through Southeast Asia, exploring its jungles, seeing its wildlife, and experiencing cultures far different from my own. This is the magic of seeing the world by sail. Good morning from remote Borneo. It's time for us to leave Borneo this morning and sail on. The storms have finally passed. Well, a little bit of spookiness over there, but the forecasted storms in the Java Sea have passed, and we should have good wind. We have between a 226 to a 250 mile passage ahead of us, depending on which anchorage I go to first, to the island of Belitung. So it'll be a two and a half day passage. Be more of the sort of like night watches, half-hour night watches, dodging ships and fishing boats and all that stuff. So more of the same on that front. This anchorage has been a heavenly spot to spend 4 days. Just relaxed, got caught up on editing, and just dialed it back while the storms blew over. But time to move on, see new things. This next anchorage is supposed to be stunningly beautiful, or the next anchorage, that the destination we're heading to on that island, the anchorage is supposed to have like French Polynesia vibes. So friends of mine were just there, SV Polaris, Kate and Jim. They were just there a couple weeks ago and it looked remarkable. So let's get out and get underway. Thank you. Hopefully I'll see you over there at Belitung. Awesome. Have a safe passage. Another American boat anchored next to me. Catamaran. Sailing vessel's second set. Pretty cool to American boats flying American flags in remote Borneo. Made me happy. Engine started good. That's good. Just need a little bit of starter fluid, not much. And we'll see how the autopilot goes. With the repair, I made a fancy proper rain jacket for it, so we'll see if that does it better. I need to focus on all the ships. Okay, we left about just over an hour ago. There's a little bit of breeze. It's blowing about 10 knots out here, but pretty consistent. And we're doing 3.8 to 4 fluctuating. So I think I'm gonna kill the engine. I have one reef in the main right now, so I might shake that up. Definitely gonna shake that up. We'll see if we can just do some mellow sailing. The further we get away from the river, the more we're going to get into the wind. The winds are forecast to be 14 knots for the next 2 days. Those reliable trade winds. So let's have that magic moment. Peace. Quiet. We're doing 4 knots. Also, the tide has switched, so we're in slack right now, so we're not fighting like I think we're fighting like a quarter knot or a half knot current coming out. So, it should only get better from here. Back to the wobble, the wing and wing wobble. Just altered course. This should be our point of sail for the next 80 miles. As long as the wind stays in the same direction, which it should because it's the trade winds. Didn't even really lose any speed with surfing, but lost a little bit of sailing speed, but we're gonna get more and more into this current. It's gonna help us. But we have this wobble motion for the next few days. I thought we were going to be in a broad reach kind of all the way there, but the wind is dead behind us. So, but still, I'll take whatever wind there is. Happy to be sailing and not motoring. And it's beautiful out. Very mellow sailing, crazy speeds. We've been doing between 5 and 6 knots. Have very little head sail out because of the point we're on. But I do have just one reef in the main, so quite a bit of the main up. But 5 to 6 knots for hours. We're under the 200-mile mark, so that's fun. A couple of fishing boats to dodge. Seems like I was looking at marine traffic. I use that as like a traffic forecasting app, and there's a big, huge, busy shipping lane between Borneo and Belitung, but I should be crossing it tomorrow at this time, so that'll be nice in the daylight. Really be able to have eyes on everyone. That's good, a little less scary, but should have good wind and a really strong current with us the whole way, so might make record speeds on this trip. Right now I'm trying to stay off of this little fishing boat who's bashing into everything. So as I'm getting closer, I realize this dude is anchored like 30 miles offshore. I mean, we're in 48 feet of water, but he's anchored out here fishing. Which is crazy, but gotta stay off of him. But this is why it's so hard for solo sailors to keep watch, because it's like, even in the daytime, like you can't relax, because like you see a boat and you think, okay, well they can see me also. That doesn't necessarily mean that they can move or they see you at all. It's wild, wild. Had to change the cell configuration because Wing and Wing was pushing us into the shallows, like running slowly, so I had to get us back to our run line. So this weird pulled out broad reach is what we're on now. Tried to lay down for like 30 minutes in 15-minute alarms because I was worried about fishing boats, but as soon as I lay down, the AIS starts going off. There's like 4 Indonesian fishing boats right there, like, I don't know, 2.5 miles away. Does seem like they might get close. Be tricky because the wind's just kind of turned off. Like right around when I laid down about 20 minutes ago, they just kind of got really light. They look like they're 9 knots now, from like 12 to 15 to 9, just like that. But we're still making like 4.5 to 5 knots with the current and the following seas. So let's see. We shall see. We're in 52 feet of water right now, even though we're like 20 miles from shore. And in like 13 miles, we're going to be in like 35 feet of water again. I could go further out to stay in this sort of deep 50 foot, but there's more ship traffic out there, so I'm trying to split the difference between not too shallow and not being in the thick of the traffic. So now I'm just sitting out here. The sun finally came out. First time the sun's been out all day. Feels nice, looks lovely. But I'm out here in the cockpit keeping an eye on these fishing boats. See what they're up to. Dramatic altering, of course. I went wing and wing to try to avoid these dudes. They kept cutting my path. So, moved everything over to a port tack, pole and all. There's this one dude that's like about a mile away. I think he has a net behind him though, so I slowed us down. We're doing like 3 knots now. Just kind of creep, let those dudes get away from us. Actually, I don't even mind going. I mean, we're not going very fast, but I wouldn't mind getting a little bit further away from the shallows anyway, so helps us, doesn't hurt us. But man, the winds are just totally gone. Shocking. Not gone enough that I'm considering putting on the engine though. I'd rather sail slowly through the night than have to hear the engine all night. Time to make ye old trusty passage meal. Ramen. More specifically, mie goreng, which is like Indonesian fried noodles. Easy. Doesn't take long to make. And it's tasty. Most importantly, I can try to not get burned with the silliness of the boat. There we go, jet boil does the trick. Trying to squeak out as much air as I can possibly squeak out. Put the pole back out so we can get back on our proper course. Shit. Proper course after the fishing boat dodgeroo. Easy way to make these, since they're just instant noodles, is when you're at sea, just put boiling water in the bowl and cover it. And if you put it in the sink, then when it spills out, it's just going to spill into the sink. But you just put that boiling water in a bowl with the noodles and put it on 4 minutes. Where's my alarm here? Jetboil's got its little spot with a little Velcro seatbelt. Keep it nice and secure. Oh, my gas canister flying all over the boat. Slow going now. I'm doing like 4 knots average. 3.5, 4 knots average. It's alright, sometimes sailing is slow. Alright, time to drain the water. Have a feast. According to marine traffic, as I said earlier, shouldn't be a lot of like cargo ship traffic on our route tonight. We'll see about fishing boats, but it looked pretty mellow. And my friends on Polaris had done this route before, and I know when they did from doing the orangutan tour to Belitung, they didn't see a ton of ship traffic, so we'll see. Better than nothing. Bon appetit. Just shook out the last reef. Could have shook it out hours ago. But it's chill, just a slow, easy night tonight. No drama. We just passed a small Indonesian fishing boat. It wasn't AIS, but I've been watching him for like an hour and a half. No close calls, everything's chill. The winds kind of gave out at like 4 p.m. yesterday. The seas finally laid down at least. They were pretty sloppy yesterday. I put us up wing and wing probably an hour ago and jibed to get us closer back to our rum line and kind of pointing more in the direction we want to be pointing towards Belitung. Of course, as soon as I go to the mast, stupid AIS alarm starts going off. Not for a ship, but it's like, it says like proximity error or something alarm, but it always happens as soon as I leave the cockpit. That stupid alarm will go off. It's so frustrating. But I survived it. And that's time to just get back into my watch schedule and enjoy this quiet sailing. Easy night of ghosting along. Other than I got up, I don't remember what time it was. 3 maybe? Yeah, it was 3. And did 3 different cell configurations. Got us on wing and wing finally settled on wing and wing with the boom off the port side, so that we could try to get the correct point. We've just been ghosting. We're doing like averaging 2 to 3 knots at best. It's okay, I don't mind nights of slow sailing. Right now we have what's labeled as an Indonesian pleasure craft on AIS. Alarm going off every once in a while. But I have eyes on him, so it'll be fine. The water's the most beautiful color right now. I think we're in like back in some shallows, but it's such a pretty color. Now it's time for me to start my day, make a pot of coffee, have some cereal, and then get the Spinnaker up if the winds don't come back in the next hour, which I'm sure they won't. We're crossing a shipping lane today, so if there aren't good winds for sailing when we get to that point, then I'll start the engine and we'll motor across the busy shipping lane. But it's been nice to just kind of quietly sail through the night. No squalls or anything. We have 131 miles to the closest anchorage. So we'll see where that puts us with our slow pace and our arrival. But it's been a beautiful night overall. approaching a set of shoals that are like 22 miles off the coast of Borneo. Some of them are like 3 feet shallow. We're going through a deeper spot. Right now we're in 67 feet of water, but we're going to try to navigate through the nothing under the 30-foot zone. It's very small, but I'm curious as to what the seas and currents will do in this zone. But once we get through this little cut at these shoals, then it's another sail reconfiguration to get us on our new point, and then we don't have to change our rum line at all after that. I thought with the speed we were doing yesterday afternoon that we would be getting to this spot at like 3 in the morning, but then when the winds died off, we're just now getting here. It's like 7 a.m. right now. I'd rather do it in the daytime anyway, in the daylight, just in case there's like weird eddies and all that stuff. But the watercolor is really beautiful, I'm guessing because it's all sand. Even though it's like 67 feet deep, it's like really pretty color. Wind is still on vacation. I think we're just riding the current at this point. But once we come about on our new rum line and our new point of sail, I'm gonna get the asymmetrical Spinnaker out. Try to make the most of what little wind we have. Okay, it's like 12 o'clock. So funny, I just grabbed the camera to be like, okay, I'm putting the Spinnaker up. And now we're doing like 4 to 5 knots all of a sudden when we were doing like 3 for like 15 minutes. This has been what's happening. We're just now getting into the shipping lane. The shipping lane is 24 miles wide. It's crazy. I guess in theory it gives me lots of room to not get run over, but that's a very wide shipping lane to traverse in a small boat with very little wind. Yeah, we're doing 5 knots now. Damn it. My hesitation is that with the Spinnaker up, if I need to make quick maneuvers to avoid a cargo ship, it's very difficult solo. So I have to go forward, douse it, and then get the headsail out and get everything set back up to like sailing regular. So that's like not very inviting when you're coming with thinking about a bunch of cargo ships. I don't know, but we could be doing like 6 knots and kind of flying, so maybe I should. There's a cargo ship that's like 6 miles away from us off our sort of port bow right now. Worst comes to worst too, I just turn on the motor and start motoring if we get near ships and just try to get across it motoring. But decisions. It is funny, we were just kind of ghosting for like 15 minutes. I was like, okay. As soon as I turned the camera on, we sped up to 5 knots, which is my happy place. If we're doing 5 knots, I'm comfortable. Another false Spinnaker start. Not worth the headache. Oh man, one of the many reasons I hate messing with the Spinnaker, especially solo. Look what it kept doing to the anchor. Now I've flown the Spinnaker a ton, and it's never done this, but I've never used the snap block. Maybe it was the seas, but look, it wrapped around the anchor all the way. Not fun. And we weren't even going as fast as we were wing and wing. Total waste of time and just stressful. Now I have a wet Spinnaker. Such a bummer. Just adjusted our course and changed the sails from wing and wing to a port tack to avoid collision. The cargo ship, we're almost through this busiest section of the big cargo shipping lane that separates Borneo from Belitung. So that's good. I think I've done 9 different configurations of sail since I left Borneo in a day and a half. Well, a day and 3/4 at this point. I can see 2 cargo ships, and seems like we're in the clear. We'll see if the alarm goes off again. But I need to make dinner. It's nice and kind of sort of mellow right now, so good time to make dinner before it gets dark. Sun just set. Not quite as spectacular as last night, but still pretty in its own right. I'm gonna make eggs and baked beans. This big can of baked beans, I'll just like eat about half of it and leave it on the stove, and then I can eat the rest tomorrow. Easy meal, good protein. In tomato sauce, delicious. I bought so many of these when I was at the store the other day. Dinner time at sea traditions in Traitea. Normally it's buck wild. There you go, spoke too soon. Use a hair tie to hold that thing in place gently. One thing I love about most countries that aren't the United States of America, they don't pre-wash their eggs, so you can leave them just out. You don't have to have them in a fridge, which is amazing. I grew up my whole life, we always just kept eggs on the kitchen table because we got them from the chicken coop. Just set in an old Folgers can on the kitchen table, and that's where eggs came from. So it's like so nice to get back to that. especially because my fridge doesn't work. I got back from the States. Maybe it's just out of coolant, I'm not sure. I did some tests, tried to check some connections, clean the connections, all that stuff, but I didn't have any luck getting it running. So that's something I'm going to repair in Malaysia. But no big deal. My friend Holly Martin of Wind Hippie Sailing, she hadn't had any kind of refrigeration whatsoever until her dude moved aboard. So she did it for years and years and years with no refrigeration. And again, as I always say, all my heroes were in the 60s and 70s and they didn't have 50s, 60s, 70s, they didn't have refrigeration. You can do a lot with a little. Pretty easy day of sailing. Not nearly as much wind as I had thought there was going to be, but not in a race. Nice to be sailing, no motor. We should get in sometime tomorrow, midday? Afternoon maybe? I'm not sure. Depends on tonight. We have 81 miles to go. Yeah, I think that did the trick. Sail change, we're still doing like 4.5 to 5 knots on a port tack instead of wing and wing, which gives us a better boat motion. It also means it'll be easier for me to maneuver away from ships or small boats throughout the night. And we're on our run line. So that's good. That's very, very, very good. Bon appetit. Yep, we're in the clear. We made it, safe and sound. Kind of close though. Just started a couple pages into this book and I love the way it's written. I think my friend Daphne gave this to me when I was in Annapolis in 2023. But I like how it's written. I'm excited to get into it. It seems like a good story. Seems like the shipping channel on the chart anyway is marked as being 40 miles wide. But I think most of the big ship traffic uses the side closer to Borneo, which is 25 miles wide, which we just crossed out of. And this other side might be more like tugs and barges and local sort of traffic and a lot of fishing boats probably. I looked on marine traffic earlier and it seemed like the bulk of the traffic was what we just made it through. That's good. Good to do that in the daylight when possible. Good morning. Easy night. Very easy night. At like, I don't remember what time it was. 2 in the morning. There was a loud bang. A loud bang. I went up on deck and the boom bang had broken, like where it attaches to the mast step had totally broken. It's just fine. I went a long time without a boom bang, so it's not a big issue. I can probably rig something and lash something till I get a replacement, but for last night I just kind of loosely wrapped it up to get it not banging around on stuff. But other than that, it was very, very mellow night. Easy night last night. Made it through that busy shipping lane before sunset. We didn't have any close calls in that because I was paying very close attention. Did a bunch of sail changes to maneuver through, but we got through without incident. After we got through that shipping lane, the main part of it, saw 0 ships the rest of the night. Not even any fishing boats, which was shocking to me. That's like a first in Indonesia. I saw like one glow on the horizon, so far away you couldn't even, it was like really far away, of like a, some kind of fishing boat, but never saw any boats last night. So I was able to get 45-minute rests in, which was good. And we're currently 29 miles from the anchorage that we're going to go to on Belitung. And even more exciting, we're now in the South China Sea. That is so crazy. Think that I sailed Little Traitea all the way to the South China Sea. That's like the thing of like novels when you're a kid, adventure books and all this stuff. It's super cool. We had an easy, mellow night of sailing, averaged like 3.5 knots most of the night. The current is very helpful because there's not much wind to use. Only exciting thing that happened last night is the boom bang broke with the loud bang, like a gun went off. It was so loud. But it was undersized, and I had been using it to make do from the last time the other one broke, so I can lash it to get it to work until I can get a replacement. But other than that, very, very easy, mellow, peaceful night, and this beautiful morning light of sailing. All's good. Alright, we're gonna try to do a temporary fix on the bang that broke last night. Here it is. With a snatch block, and then we'll see if we can do a more, and then we'll just do a more permanent fix once we get somewhere settled. My old trusty old snatch block. These came on the boat and they're so amazing, really handy. You just go like that, and so you can feed a line in without having to like rerun the line. And I have used these everything from like use them with the Spinnaker. I've used it when my main winch ripped out of the mast. I like ran snatch blocks all the way aft. So these snatch blocks are really handy thing to have on the boat. So you can't adjust it, but it's it will hold. It ain't pretty, but it'll hold the line in place. So I was able to just like feed it through, double it back on itself, and then lash it in place. Like that. Here's the broken bit. So you can't adjust it, but it's gonna keep that boom from jumping up real violently with these swells. And then we'll get a proper fix done later. I'm in such a good place mentally right now. I think it's the, like, in fact I know it's the best sort of place I've been mentally since leaving Los Angeles. Everything just feels very peaceful inside, which is a challenging place to get to. A lot of times it feels like there's so many stresses that come with this life, so many uncertainties, from gear failures to like money worries to bureaucracy and dealing with all that stuff, and it's really easy for that stuff to weight you down. And you can't like really take in like how incredible this is. Quietly, slowly sailing. Being pushed around the world by a breath of wind. But for the last like, I don't know, week and a half, once I got all my stuff taken care of in Borneo, I just like leveled out. And there's challenges ahead for sure. Everything feels just right. Just had my first land-ho moment in a while. We're 17 miles from the island of Belitung, but I just now started to see a faint outline of a mountain, hill, whatever it is, volcano maybe. Land-ho, super stoked. Alright, we are 6 miles from where I want to try to anchor for the night. It's an anchorage that's not listed on Navionics or No Foreign Land, but looks like it has good protection to me. I looked at the satellite images, I don't see any bommies, so it's probably mud or sand. The depths look good. Looks like it would have better protection than the other anchorage that is listed on Navionics. So we're going to drive up in there, check out the depths, see what it's all about. And if not, we can continue on another like 5 miles to another spot that is listed, but we're going to check this place out first. Seems like it would have better protection from the swell than either one of these ones. So now I got to get the engine started. We are 6 miles from getting to that spot. Have decent wind, of course, at the end of the day. But we've had nice, peaceful sailing today. But I want to have the engine running before we get up into all this business to make sure it starts. So first thing first, I keep a bung inside the exhaust so that water can't force its way up in there like it did to me in American Samoa or heading to Fiji. Got that done. Try to get this engine started. All right, engine started up with not too much hassle, so that's good. Takes a lot of stress off. Now we just got to motor in this last 5 miles and check out the spot. Very strong current. Wind's probably blowing 12 knots. Well, a little less up in here. Some local boats anchored around this corner. They're going to be close into the shore, so I should be able to anchor behind them. "20 feet. Hopefully I can squeak in close enough to get out of the sea state at least. Still doing like 3 knots, even like in idle, with just the main and a second reef. Maybe it's the current. Feet. All this wind's going to come down when it gets dark also. 14. Let's try right here. 12 feet. All right, got the hook down in 12 feet of water. I just paid out 75 feet for the tide tonight. Of chain. She's set real quick on her own, just from the wind. I get the main down and get settled in. Dinner time. So funny, as soon as I got the hook down, within 5 minutes, the wind just turned off. It was so strange. Just like stopped. All those fishing boats have left to go fish for the night. I probably could have got in closer, but those fishing boats were anchored pretty far offshore. So I was like, trust the locals. It's fine, it's just a rest stop. Tomorrow we have a 33 nautical mile passage, just a little, probably, we'll see if we get to sail, but I'm guessing it'll be just a motor up to like the proper anchorage. There's supposed to be a stunningly beautiful anchorage. My friends Kate and Jim on SV Polaris were there a couple weeks ago, and they said it looks like a combination of the British Virgin Islands and French Polynesia. It's like stunningly beautiful. That's where we're heading. But this is kind of like when you pull over on the side at a rest stop on a road trip, have a break. I spent the last 2.5 days only getting about, the longest sleep I got in a stretch was 45 minutes in 2.5 days, so I need a good night's sleep. Oh, I got the numbers here. It says we did 235 nautical miles in 2.5 days, 53 hours of sailing, and 2 hours of motoring. That's pretty good. The winds for that passage were forecasted to have been between 12 and 15 knots the whole time. They were like 8 to 12 maybe. 8 to 10. I think they were 12 the first day, and then after that they never got above 10. So pretty light winds, but then I found the seas were too big to really successfully get the Spinnaker going, as you saw. Fiasco. I think most of it was like the current really helped a lot. Like, it made that passage because we had a really strong favorable current. I was thinking, like, I think that's like, it might be the most enjoyable multiple day passage I've ever done. I'm just like happy and relaxed. So like, even though we were only sailing it like throughout the night, we would only sail between, you know, 2.5 knots to 3.5 knots, like all night. Just barely scooting along. And I was like, it was perfectly peaceful, nice sailing. There were no squalls, no drama with ships. I mean, I had stuff I had to dodge, but just a really fantastic passage. And the longest, the last really long passage I'll have to do of the whole year, which is crazy. There's some just past here. It depends on where I want to push to, and it depends on winds versus like protected anchorages, but there might be one instance where I might want to push like 90 miles just to knock out a stretch of water. But no more multiple day passages, which is nice. Can just do day hops, you know. Having pasta, treated myself since the boat was still. Can make a proper meal, and I'm gonna probably turn in very, very early tonight. If you enjoy the content on this channel and would like to contribute, you can consider joining the Patreon crew. Thanks for watching. Fair winds until next time.